It is week number 3. Fantasy football is back. And, of course, the Thursday night game tonight, we'll have it live on 97.3 ESPN. It follows the countdown to kickoff with Tony Bruno and Harry Mays. Bruno and Mays, Thursday nights from 6 to 8, leading you into Thursday night football. Tennessee and Jacksonville. And here to help set your week 3 fantasy football lineup, it is Jeff Pasquino from thefootballguys.com. If you have a text message question for Jeff, send us a text, 609-403-0973, 609-403-0973. And, Jeff, we got a game that I feel like is on Thursday night almost 3 times a year. Jacksonville and Tennessee. These guys are always the Thursday night football game. Is there any offensive players that you like in tonight's game?
Yeah, this is a game that's probably best to skip and just wait for the weekend. But personally, I like the Tennessee defense, which says a lot about tonight's game tonight. I think offensively, I think you got Delanie Walker, tight end, is a pretty solid option. Both running backs, Fournette and Henry, are running back 2s on the week. Maybe a couple wide receivers for Jacksonville flex. You got D.D. Westbrook and also DJ Baby Chark. That's an option. But those are, if you're banged up, those are probably guys you might want to stick in there. There is a benefit to playing a guy on Thursday night. If he does well, it boosts your weekend performance, and you don't have to worry as much. But if you know it's not as good, you know what to shoot for the weekend.
All right, let's look at some of the weekend players with Jeff here. If you have a question for Jeff, 609-403-0973. Jeff and Ryan are compiling your questions, and we'll try to get as many as we can in. Let's go with Lamar Jackson, and we believe in him now after 2 weeks. This is a big step up in competition. He's had the Dolphins, he's had the Cardinals. Now he'll get the Chiefs.
Yeah, we have both Mahomes and Jackson 1-2 at quarterback this week. Just tells you about that, what that game's supposed to be like. So I think both those guys are solid options all the rest of the way. Both of them are studs.
Kyler Murray, the rookie, you got 2 games of a sample size now. How are you feeling about him?
He did okay against Baltimore, which is a pretty good test. I think he warmed up in week 1 towards the end to get that tie. I think he's going to do pretty good against Carolina, and Carolina could have problems of their own with Cam Newton still in a walking boot.
Jimmy Garoppolo, they put up a lot of points on the road. He's going to get his first home game. Is he a fantasy start?
He is more of a quarterback 2 than a quarterback 1. Pittsburgh's been a little bit better on defense. Plus, San Francisco's, they've got 3 running backs they are relying heavily on. Garoppolo lit up last week. I don't expect that every week.
We saw Rivers in that offense struggle last week in Detroit and only put 10 points on the board. Rivers against Houston, what do you think?
Yeah, he's more of a quarterback, too, as well. Houston, they get pressure with J.J. Watt, but also the Chargers have not done much, and Hunter Henry's out. They're really relying on Keenan Allen and not much else, maybe Eckler out of the backfield. It's not a great offense right now.
You got a couple new quarterbacks, Daniel Jones, Mason Rudolph. Looks like Teddy Bridgewater. Any of those guys that you recommend to go out and get?
If I was going to do pickup and waiver wire rankings, I would Rudolph first and then Bridgewater, and I probably would. Jones is maybe in a quarterback 2 league, but I like Rudolph. I think that he's going to be a starter the rest of the way, so he's going to be that guy for Pittsburgh, and he's not that bad. I mean, he's thrown 7 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in 2 years in preseason. They went up and they went up to draft him. They like him a lot. I think he's going to be a good replacement for Big Ben and put up borderline quarterback 1 numbers the rest of the way.
All right, Jeff Pasquino, footballguys.com. If you have a question for Jeff, 609-403-0973 is the text board. We'll read off some questions. Let's go to the running backs now. And, all right, let's go to Chris Carson. It looks like Seattle is relying on him a little bit more. Do they finally have a running back out there?
Yeah, they've leaned on him a lot. Penny at running back steals some carries and gives a little bit of rest for Carson. But Carson's their number 1 guy. He gets the key touches. And I think they're going to rely on him again at home against the Saints.
What about San Francisco? Matt Breida, he seemed like the guy, but a lot of people talk about Mostert out there. What are you doing with the San Francisco running back situation?
It was a lot of wait and see, and everybody performed last week, including Jeff Wilson. So you've got Breida as a fancy running back 2 as the lead back. We've got Mostert, who's going to contribute as a running back 2/flex, a little bit more value in PPR leagues. And Jeff Wilson is going to vulture goal line carry. So if you're in a touchdown league, he might be a worthy stash. But all 3 guys are running back 2 capability.
You got Mixon out there in Cincinnati with that ankle problem. He hasn't really, been a big play back yet. Is this the week that Mixon finally breaks out?
It's a tough matchup with Buffalo. Buffalo's 2-0, and they're looking a lot better than most people thought they would. Joe Mixon is more of a running back flex. They're probably mixing Gio Bernard to kind of even out the workload, just to ease Mixon in, and it's a tough matchup.
All right, Jeff Pasquino, footballguys.com, looking at some running backs here. What about Le'Veon Bell? They weren't going to use him. Then he got a bunch of touches. He got New England this week, though. Is Bell a guy you're playing?
Well, consider the other options. You pretty much have to rely on Bell for 25 to 30 touches in that offense. And they're putting out Luke Falk, who was in the practice squad Monday afternoon, then he played Monday night. Now he's a quarterback the rest of the way. I think Le'Veon Bell is a running back one by default because he's going to touch the ball 30 times a week.
All right, Jeff, last running back for you, Nick Chubb. He's been, that Browns offense, they finally got going a little bit last week. So did you like what you saw in that running back spot?
Yeah, that was one of the good takeaways against the Jets. He looked really impressive, and he got that nice 19-yard touchdown right after the contact from the line. I think he's a solid running back one the rest of the way. Cleveland's offense is starting to be nice and balanced and put up a good amount of points. They'll be tested along the way, but Chubb will be the main guy for the Browns.
All right, we're going to move over to the wideouts. If you have a question for Jeff, send us a text, 609-403-0973. Text messages for Jeff Pasquino from the footballguys.com. All right, a lot of waiver wire-esque wideouts, but let's look at some of the wideouts here for week number 3. What about Sammy Watkins and that Kansas City trio out there? What is the Kansas City wideouts looking like for you?
Every wide receiver for Patrick Mahomes is worth picking up. Obviously, Sammy Watkins is a wide receiver one going forward. Tyreek Hill out more than a month. But Demarcus Robinson looked very good. McCall Hardman, they were originally drafting him as a speedster and a drop-in for Tyreek Hill. He has a learning curve, but Demarcus Robinson's got a little bit more seasoning to him. He's probably a wide receiver 3 fantasy-wise, and he's a solid number 2 for Kansas City right now in a high-powered offense.
I just scooped him up off my waiver wire with the injury to Deshaun Jackson. What about Tyler Lockett this week for Russell Wilson?
He's a solid option, but Seattle likes to run the ball more than throw. Tyler Lockett is a wide receiver 3 with some wide receiver 2 upside. He's not going to see enough volume on a regular basis, especially with the other DK Metcalf emerging as a wide receiver 3 as well.
What are you doing with Stefon Diggs? He was like a borderline wide receiver 1 last year. He has not been the same explosive guy this year. Same with Thielen, but Diggs seems like he's taking a little bit more of a hit.
We have to take a little bit of patience here and also understand that Diggs lost a touchdown due to penalty last week and then came back to score again. So I think Diggs, he's going to put up numbers. They're going to throw the ball, and they had a terrible throwing game the first week. He did much better last week. I think Diggs is going to be just fine as a wide receiver 2 with wide receiver 1 upside.
All right, let's go with Calvin Ridley. He had a big game last week. Is he a guy that you think has consistency? Is he a weekly play?
I think he is. He's a wide receiver 3 with wide receiver 2 upside. He really becomes a wide receiver 1 only if Julio Jones misses time, but they love Ridley, Sanu, and also Julio Jones in the spread offense.
All right, there's some questions on the receivers. Let's go over to the listener questions that Jeff and Ryan have been compiling. We got a lot of questions on the fantasy waiver wire wide receiver stuff. There's a lot of guys out there, but let's see what the listeners are looking at.
All right, first question, Jeff. They want to know, should they start at quarterback Carson Wentz, Matthew Stafford, or Jameis Winston?
I really think Philadelphia Eagles love to throw the ball. I think Carson Wentz, now that they had a terrible night against Atlanta after everybody getting injured. Now they had a week to regroup and really work everybody in. Wentz is going to throw the ball. He'll be fine as a quarterback 1. They'll get the ball to Sanders to get him to Arcega-Whiteside. They'll move it around. Wentz is your guy.
Start him or sit him, Andy Dalton, Kirk Cousins.
I would go with Kirk Cousins over Andy Dalton for both talent and matchup.
Here's a possible trade. Someone can get LaShawn McCoy and John Brown, but they'd have to give up Aaron Jones. Would you co-sign on that trade?
I rarely give up one player for 2, and that sounds like a downgrade for depth. I wouldn't do that. Keep your strength, build your core. Aaron Jones is a running back 1 with upside.
What are your thoughts on Davante Adams at home versus Denver this week?
He's a top 5 wideout just on volume. Jimmy Graham would have had a great game if he was healthy. He's probably going to be a scratch. So look for Adams and MVS and the running back to drive that offense. I think those are your guys for Green Bay.
All right, Jeff, pick a Bengals receiver to start here. Tyler Boyd or John Ross this week?
Tyler Boyd is the option, but Ross is coming along, and he's a great upside play in a best ball type league on a going basis. He's really the deep threat, but Boyd is your volume guy.
All right, at the tight end spot, Jeff, we have Andrews or Kelsey. Now, I have Andrews in my fantasy team, and he's been absolutely killing it for me. So this is a legit question at this point, right?
That's a very good question. We have both of those three guys in our top three this week. So Kelsey is 1, Andrews is 3, but it's close.
All right, Jeff Pasquino, good stuff from the listeners out there. We got a ton of questions here that we haven't got a chance to get to, but don't forget, keep them coming. We'll try to get as many questions as we can every week with Jeff Pasquino from the footballguys.com. But before we let Jeff go, here's some guys that make sure you have these guys in your lineup this week, or some under-the-radar players if you need to pick somebody up. Who do you got, Jeff?
At running back, I think Jamal Williams for Green Bay is definitely a pickup. They're starting to split carries for the Packers. He's one injury away to Jones to being a running back 1. Darwin Thompson is getting close as well in Kansas City. You got 2 guys that are banged up in front of him, including McCoy, and Thompson is getting touches. Wide receiver, I think Nelson Aguilar is definitely going to see a ton of work the next 2 weeks. The Eagles are on a Thursday game next week, so it's a short week. He's going to see a lot of volume. I think you also got to pick up James Washington. He's probably my sleeper of the week. We talked about the Kansas City guys to pick up, but James Washington, he went to college with Mason Rudolph for the Steelers. Look for Washington to be a wide receiver 2 going forward, because they're really unhappy with Moncrief's drops.
All right, there you go. Jeff Pasquino, footballguys.com, helping you set your Week 3 fantasy football lineup. Don't forget to get your Titans and Jags in tonight if you have any that need to play. And, Jeff, as always, thank you and good luck.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy the games.